Good afternoon, everyone. Now we're in a chapter 5, so be ready to listen. The lesson we will be tackled to chapter 5 is the ethics in the tourism industry, the challenges and approaches. So in our previous lesson, we tackled about the training program and yung work competency. Now, pag-uusapan naman natin yung mga dapat i-apply sa isang workplace, especially in the tourism industry. May mga rules and regulations na need i-follow kasi kasama ito sa company policies. So all of us are aware about the ethics, right? Remember that ethics applies to all employees and no one is exempted from following the rules and regulations. Papag-uusapan din natin yung mga common ethical dilemmas na na-experience ng bawat employee sa workplace. Next. Next. So here are the learning outcomes. At the end of this chapter, you should be able to articulate the importance of ethics, articulate the critical values tourism professionals must demonstrate at work, identify the situations and scenarios where a tourism professional's values put to test and how to resolve those ethical dilemmas. And last, enumerate the do's and don'ts at work. Next. Next is the contents of this chapter. First is the need for ethics in the tourism industry. Next, critical values in the tourism industry. Next is the rationale and basis for ethics in tourism and hospitality. Next, Global Code of Ethics for Tourism or the GCET. And next is the challenging situations and common ethical dilemmas. And last is the ethical practices in the workplace. So for the first content will be report by Ms. Maika.
Next po. So, the need for ethics in the tourism industry. Next. So, the need for ethics, many will agree that is ethics in practice that makes sense in the corporate world, government, and society. So, everyone wants businesses to be fair, clean, and beneficial to society. So, for this to be realized po, organization, as people, is need po sumunod sa rule of law and engage themselves in fair practices and competition. So, here po is magbe-benefit naman po including the people, the society, and the organization. So, it is people or the human social unit of the society yung pangunahing nakikinabang po mula sa ethics. So, in addition, ethics is important because of the following. First is satisfy human needs. Here po, fairness and honesty and ethics are essential things that all human requires. People want to be fair, honest, and ethical themselves. And they prepare po to work from companies that also practices fairness and ethical behavior. Second po is creating credibility or building trust. So when organizations operate based on moral values, they earn respect from society, even po from people who may not know much about their specific business. Here po example is when opening a business po, syempre po need nyo po ng puhunan or yung mag-i-invest sa'yo. So you need, kung gusto nyo po mag-invest sila sa'yo, you need to present your business or product po, di ba? So also po, need mo rin i-meet yung expectation nila kung ano po ba yung makukuha nila doon. And if nakikita naman po nila na maganda yung product or business na tinatayo mo, pwede nyo po makuha yung trust nila. And also, be honest lang po always. Kung may mga problem po na nangyayari, sabihin nyo po dun sa mag-i-invest or magiging partner nyo po. Pag nakuha mo po yung trust nila, you need to maintain rin po hanggang maging successful po yung business na tinatayo nyo. Third is uniting people and leadership. Organization that prioritize values create a sense of respect among employees and promote cooperation between them and their leaders. This unity helps everyone work together towards common goals and mission. Kumbaga po, is mag-work talaga or ma-achieve po natin yung goal or mission natin if there's a teamwork po. And nagkakasundo po tayo lahat and nagkakaintindihan. Next is improving decision making. Choices guided by values shape a person's life path and impact organization as well. Ethical decision generate and sustain. Sustain trust, demonstrate respect, responsibility, fairness, and caring, and are consistent with good citizenship. Yung mga behavior po na nasabi ko is ito po yung nagpo-provide ng foundation for making better decision by setting the ground rules for our behavior. Next po is achieving long-term gains. Ethical organization often experience long-term profitability even if they face short-term challenges. Example po dito is yung mga continuous improvement based on customer feedback. The company actively seek and values customer feedback. They gather insight through survey, mga online reviews po, and mga social media interaction. This feedback po is ina-identify yung areas for improvement, address customer pain point, and enhance the overall customer experience. Pag pinagpatuloy po tayong makinig sa mga customer feedback, the company demonstrate its commitment to meeting customer need and preferences. Last po is securing the society from tradition and moral decay or protecting society. Ethics are very important from protecting society, especially po when law are not enough. And also po sa pagbilis ng technological advancement, it becomes crucial to consider ethical aspect in dealing with new threats to society and the environment that current law may not fully address. Last po is the Global Code of Ethics Tourism or GCET is a comprehensive set of principles designed to guide key players in tourism development. GCET po is a set of guiding principles that aims to help governments, the travel industry, communities, and tourists make tourism development more beneficial while minimizing its negative impact on the environment, cultural heritage, and societies worldwide. It was adopted po noong 1999 by General Assembly of the World Tourism Organization and later po inacknowledge po siya ng United Nations. Although po hindi legally binding, the code features a Committee of Tourism Ethics or WCTE nagpo-provide pa rin po ng mga recommendation and guidance on applying understanding the code. So also po, stakeholders is pwede po magtanong sa WCTE para sa mga usapang may kinalaman sa implementation and interpretation of the code. That's for my part po. Next.
Critical values in the tourism industry. For a dynamic and rapidly evolving industry like tourism, the traditional values have remained relevant and new values have been incorporated in response to recent global events and disruption. The most critical values in the industry are as follows. First, we have the strong work ethic. Employers values employees who understand and possess a willingness to work hard. Good work ethic is infectious and an employee with such a value can influence others positively. So dito, ito yung value ng isang employee kung gaano mo kagusto yung trabaho na ginagawa mo. For example, ang trabaho ko ay isang flight attendant and yung kaibigan ko is walang trabaho. And then bilang isang flight attendant, kung nagugustuhan ko yung ginagawa ko at dahil dun sa value na yun, pwede kang maka-influensya ng kaibigan ko. Next, we have the dependability and responsibility. Employers value employees who come to work on time, are there when they are supposed to be, and they are responsible for their action and behavior. This also includes being a proactive and foresight. So dito naman, it is a value of employees who come to work on time. Ito naman, syempre bilang isang employee, may kanya-kanya naman tayong responsibilidad. Yun na nga dito ay kung paano tayo kumikilos or kung kikilos tayo sa bawat utos sa atin bilang isang employee sa isang kumpanya. It also includes being a proactive and foresight, sabi nga doon. Then next, the positive attitude. Employers seek employees who take initiative and have the motivation to get the job done in a reasonable time. This goes beyond being cheerful and optimistic. It is above finding the silver lining even in the worst situation. So dito naman is employers seek employees who take initiative to get job done in reasonable time. So dito na nga, syempre kapag may maganda kang attitude, may mas makakagaan sa loob natin. Paano kung yung employee ay ma-attitude tapos mataray, tapos kung makuutos sa isang employee, para siyang may-ari ng kumpanya. Siyempre, ang pangit naman sa pakiramdam natin as employee kung gano'n ang pinapakita mong attitude. Kumbaga, negative impact na agad siya sa atin bilang isang boss. Kaya kung maaari, think positive lang at i-enjoy ang ating trabaho. Next, we have the adaptability and adaptability. Employers seek employees who are adaptable and maintain flexibility in completing tasks in an ever-changing workplace. So dito naman, ito yung mga employee na flexible kumbaga sa kahit anong utos para madali silang turuan, mabilis agad makatapos ang pinapagawa. Yan yung mga employee na malawak ang oras nila, kumbaga flexible sila sa bawat kilos nila. Next, we have the honest and integrity. Employers value employees who maintain a sense of honesty and integrity above all else. Good relationships are built on a trust. So dito naman, ibig sabihin, sa isang company, pinapahalagahan nila ang mga empleyadong nananatiling tapat at may integridad sa lahat ng bagay. So next, we have the drive and self-motivation. Employers look for employees who require little supervision and direction to get the work done in a timely and professional manner. So dito naman, naghahanap ang isang company ng empleyadong may sariling pananaw at kaunting kaalaman o direksyon sa mga bagay na pinapagawa sa kanila ng isang kumpanya. Next, you have the responsive to change and self-improvement. In an ever-changing workplace, employers seek employees who are interested in keeping up with the new developments and knowledge in the field. So dito naman, ang employers ay naghahanap ng empleyado na gustong makisabay sa pag-unlad ng bagong kaalaman ng isang kumpanya. Next, we have the strong and self-confidence. So dito naman, self-confidence has been recognized as the key ingredient between someone successful and someone who is not. So ang pagiging strong and self-confidence ay nakakatulong sa ating pamumuhay. Yung feeling mo na parang alam mo na, may alam ka na sa lahat, marami ka ng experience, confident ka na sa mga ginagawa mo, at wala kang tinatapakan tao. At ang ibig sabihin ay may accept at may tiwala ka sa sarili mong kakayanan. Next, we have the professionalism. Employers value employees who exhibit professional behavior at all the times. Professional behavior includes learning every aspect of a job and doing it to the best of one's ability. So dito na nga, pagiging professionalism ay nahanap rin ng isang kumpanya na kung saan dapat ang kilos mo, ang aura mo ay parang pong professional na datingan. Kumbaga, pag tinignan ka ng isang boss or ng isang empleyado, kailangan professional yung dating mo, yung atake mo. Professional the way you look, the way you speak, and dress accordingly. So next, loyalty. Loyalty, employers value employees they can trust and who exhibit their loyalty to the company. Loyalty in the workforce has taken on a new meaning. So dito naman, hinahanap rin ng isang employers, ang value ng isang employees ay pagiging loyal nila sa isang kumpanya. Dito na rin natin makikita kung gaano sila katagal at mag-i-stay sa kumpanya. Minsan naman, kung gaano ka katagal sa isang kumpanya, meron kang matatanggap na award. Yun ay ang loyalty award. Naranasan na, isa din ako sa testigo dahil ang papa ko dati ay nagtatrabaho sa IT manager at binigyan siya ng loyalty award na trophy and certificate kasi nga 16 years siya nagtrabaho dun sa kumpanya na pinagtatrabahuan niya. At ayun na nga tinatawag na loyalty. Next, creativity and innovation. Challenge oneself to see what's possible to better meet and the needs of the team. Customers and the company, one is a work progress, striving to improve to do better. Next, we have the service-oriented. Being service-minded or customer-oriented means the one cares about providing a quality experience to the clients he serves. This value can also extend to include supporting the community and the team. Valuing service means that one aims to provide a meaningful experience to the people he serves and supports. Next, we have the teamwork and collaboration. Employers prefer to hire and retain employees who can easily work and collaborate with fellow employees. Surely managing diversity can be a challenge, but those who can navigate the various personalities in the work environment tend to become influencers and role models and minimize or prevent unnecessary conflicts. So next, we have the striving for excellence and quality. In everything one does, whether it is a simple task or a complex assignment or a challenging project, or high quality output and excellence performance are always desired by employers. Hence, putting in one's best effort will most likely bear good fruit. Employers tend to frown on medrically as if may entail cost, mistakes of lost opportunities. So lastly, we have the resilience. Employers are always looking for employees who cooperate the stamina, don't easily give up, are determined to succeed in their careers, and have the perseverance to complete the task, notwithstanding barriers and limitations, such as an employee has high tolerance level for adversity, thus saying when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And that's all for my part.
Okay, next. Um, First, we tackle about transparency. Transparency, this pertains to a quality of being truthful, factual, and evidence-based. So, ito naman po sa transparency, dito lang po tayo nagbe-base sa mga totoo at yung mga um, uh, large amount of support ng researcher, parang for example, ganun, or sabihin natin pagdating sa workplace, parang mas supported siya ng mas nakakataas sa atin or mas mataas pa sa pwesto natin. So next is integrity. This refers to a attribute or person being honest and upholding what is right. So ito naman sa integrity, ito lang yung nagsusupport siya ng tama or katotohanan lamang. So truthworthiness, it is a characteristic of person who can be trusted as a word of honor and not capable of betraying other person. So, truthfulness, ito po yung mga binibigay niya lang yung mga tawag nito. Katotohanan din naman siya. At the same time, hindi niya kayang man-traidor or sabihin natin backstab sa company na pinapasukan niya to other company. So, next is loyalty. This is demonstrated by promotion of a agreement with a advocacy and policies of organization or person. So sa loyalty, alam naman natin po lahat anong ibig sabihin ng loyalty. Ibig sabihin po doon ka lang po naka-stay sa isang company. For example, pag i-base natin po sa company. So doon lang tayo nagsistay at nagko-commit tayo sa isang company. So next is equality. This pertains for a fair and equal treatment for all members of group or organization in not existing favoritism. So ito naman po sa equality, lahat po pwede, kumbaga lahat capable po ang lahat at walang pinipili po ang isang organization or group kasi lahat naman po tayo may kanya-kanyang ability, mapababae man yan, lalaki, bakla, or kahit anong gender po yan. Lahat po tayo capable sa isang capable sa lahat ng bagay katulad ng mga reporting, ganyan, kahit anong gender po. So, yun po. Compassion po. This refers to a person's innate desire and understanding to other person's plight and usually demonstrate through empathy. So ito naman po from the word compassion. Kumbaga compassion po is to suffer together po. Kumbaga kung magsasuffer yung isang group, damay-damay lahat, hindi dahil sa gusto nyo lang, kumbaga iisang iisang team na kayo, kumbaga magko-connecta na kayo, pag may nagkaroon ng aberya, damay-damay lahat. So next is respect. This attribute a person in manifested by courteous language, decorum, and adherence and requires great deal of tact, diplomacy, and sensitivity. So dito naman po sa respect po, dapat natin alalahanin na may mga feelings din po lahat ng members ng isang group. So we need to respect other kung ano man siyang race, kung ano man yung gender niya, like for example, gay ba siya, or sabihin natin Black American ba siya, ganun. So, yun po. Lawfulness, this is a person's faithful compliance with a obedience with a law, ordinance, and legitimate rule and policies from state or its agency. So, dito naman po sa may lawfulness, kumbaga dito tayo nagbe-base sa puro mga rules and regulations. So, lagi nating tatandaan na laging makinig sa mga rules ng isang company. Like for example, bawal tayong magtrabaho sa ibang company habang naka-employ ka pa dun sa company na yan, parang ganun po. So, excellence. This is an employee quest for outstanding performance or output. So, ito naman po yung mga taong sabihin natin employee na outstanding sila sa kanilang trabaho, katulad ng mga manager, ganun. Kaya sila napopromote gawa ng mga outstanding works nila nung dati pang mga employee. Like for example, kumbaga nagagampanan nila yung trabaho nila. So, yun. Responsibility. This is a manifestation of a person capability of handle a factual assignment, task, project, and expectation from superior or team. So, ito naman po yung mga taong handang ibigay lahat or kumbaga pag once may binigay sa yung task, ibig sabihin responsible kasi sa bagay na yun or sa task na yun at kailangan mong ibigay lahat ng best mo doon. So, next is sensitivity. This value pertains to a person's ability to exercise restraint and choose not to offend other person but opt for a less aggressive approach. So, ito naman po, ang sensitivity, lagi nating tatandaan, lagi nating alalahanin yung mga language natin na sinasabi natin sa kasama natin or sabihin natin ka-workmate natin. Kasi may possibility na ma-offend sila, nila, may possibility na madadamay, magkakaroon ng affect yung sinabi mo sa career niya or baka sa pagtatrabaho niya, ganun. Baka kasi baka ma-downgrade, ganun. So, always use a proper language and also attitude. So, next, upholding reputation. This is the tendency of a person to protect one's image by always doing what is right, not engaging in activities that will bring disrepute and being a good role model. So, ito po yung mga tinatawag nating mga manager or sabihin nating president. Ito po yung mga taong mas nakakataas sa mababang aspect pagdating sa workplace. So, ito yung mga taong laging nagsistand out or sabihin nating nagiging good role model pagdating sa isang company. So, accountability. This is a humbling quality of a person takes the blame for any misdeed, mistake, or failure attribute to himself or his team. So, ito naman po, ito yung mga kumbaga na maangkin ng mistakes or ng mali na mga pagdating sa isang group. So, ito po yung mga taong like for example, sabi nating team leader, yun. Pag once nagkaroon ng mislead yung mga members niya, sino mapapagalitan? Siyempre yung leader kasi hindi niya magampanan yung ginawang task or hindi niya ma-handle yung mga teammates niya. So, yun po. Yun yung mga example ng accountability. So, due diligence. This is a value of a person who exercise extensive effort to study, research, and document prudently particular issue or subject matter question. Ito po yung mga taong masisipag. Ito yung mga taong tinatawag natin handang magbigay ng time pagdating sa binigay sa kanilang task, like for example, yung mga research, gano'n, inaaral nila ng mabuti or pinag-aaralan nila yon para ma-deliver nila ng maayos or ma-present nila ng maayos sa kanilang superior or sabihin nating team leader. Next po, reporter please.
Let's now talk about the rationale and basis for ethics in tourism and hospitality. Next po. We have the three bases. The A1 is international laws, codes, treaty, and agreements between and among countries or states. So it is like a rules po and regulation in the industry. So usually they are the ones na responsible for making orders in very ethical way and behavior. And also, make sure din nila yung connection natin sa ibang country is safe. So this base has the ability to effectively articulate high levels of ethics in tourism and hospitality industry. By making this direction, the industry can achieve the set goals, objectives, and vision, as well as establish the best organizational cultures that anchor high levels of productivity and profitability. The second one is jurisprudence and legal bases recognized by the country or state. So, usually po, this base refers to the decision po ng Supreme Court and ina-interpret po nila yung mga laws and profitability. The next one is religious, social, cultural, and moral basis pertinent to the belief system and cultural norms of a particular country or region. So dito naman po is nagbe-base sila sa mga nakagawian na nilang gawin or sa mga norms nila. Mostly po is religious way, social, cultural po, and moral po. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948 is a milestone document that set out fundamental human rights to be universally protected as contained in 30 articles. In the Philippines, many laws have been passed that impact tourists. Next. Here are the examples of prominent laws in the Philippines. Philippine Constitution, Civil Code of the Philippines, Corporation Code of the Philippines, Tourism Act of 2009, Republic Act 9593, Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority Law, Republic Act 11262, Anti-Money Laundering Law, Republic Act 9160. Meanwhile, there are some religious and cultural customs, traditions, and more that sometimes serve as basis for shaping the industry's ethical standard. Next reporter, please.
Global Code of Ethics for Tourism, the GCET. For the first article, Article 1 is, wait lang. States that tourism contribution to mutual understanding and respect between peoples and societies. Subsection 1 is the understanding and promotion of the ethical values common to humanity with an attitude of tolerance and respect for the diversity of religious, philosophical, and moral beliefs are both the foundation and the consequence of responsible tourism stakeholders in tourism development. And tourists themselves should be observed the social and cultural traditions and practices of all people, including those of minorities and indigenous peoples, and to recognize their worth. The subsection 2 is tourism activities should be conducted in harmony with the attributes and traditions of the host regions and countries, and with the respect for their laws, practices, and customs. Sa understanding natin with the first two articles or subsections to Article 1 of this Global Code of Ethics for Tourism is that we really have to maintain the balance between responsible tourism. Take in consideration muna tayo, we are having this kind of activity wherein the application is going to visit a particular community and there's a lot of minorities or in the indigenous people. Well, definitely, na yung respect for their laws and practices and customs, what we see is that we really have to appreciate their customs, beliefs, and traditions. Kasi it is intimate with them. As tourists and as to visitors for that particular community, we have to really we have this so-called line or limitation. Na we can, as much as possible, we are not there to influence them. Okay, kasi they really have to have this kind of distinct culture or diverse traditions na dapat i-maintain up to what for their future. Okay, so if ever we're going to have this kind of application, at least meron tayong guideline that we are going to visit a place and we're just going to visit their community and then appreciate lang what we are going to hear, see, and touch. Yung more feel. As we see or as we watch their so-called mga traditions, beliefs, and customs, at least, ang importante, we are not there to influence their tradition. Kasi kailangan, ulitin ko, their traditions should be kept, stagnant na let's them grow as a minority or as an indigenous people or community. Pero, para ma-appreciate lang natin na the way of tourism, yung kabuhayan nila or paano sila nabuhay bilang isang community and how we could help them in a way that we don't influence again and again their customs, beliefs, and traditions. We'll go to Article 2. States that tourism as vehicle for individual and collective fulfillment. Tourism activity should respect the equality of men and women. They should promote human rights and more particularly the individual rights of the most vulnerable group. Notably children and elderly, the handicapped, ethnic minorities, and indigenous people. So, nandito tayo, respect or give more importance to those handicapped, ethnic minorities, and of course, yung mga indigenous people. Let's add yung section for travel for purpose na rin, yung religion, health, education, and cultural or linguistic exchanges, particularly beneficial forms of tourism and deserve encouragement. Ito yung tipong kapag we visit a place or we do some guiding techniques na we try to say something yung mga mabuhay tulad natin sa campus, di ba? Nagsasalita tayo ng mabuhay to greet our instructor. Di ba yung mga tao, ito yung mga expression na maganda about that particular place so that if we ever yung tourists remember nila na bumalik doon sa place na yon, may mga something silang maaalala na mga gantong magandang bagay or mga experience. Well, it's one form of recognizing or respecting or should we say na appreciate natin yung visit natin doon sa lugar nila. When we have something or we have learned something from their place. Let's go to Article 3. States that tourism as a factor of sustainable development. We have how many subsections? We have 5 for this, but ang nakakuha sa akin ng attention is the nature tourism. Yun yung section 5, states that nature tourism and ecotourism are recognized as being particularly conducive and to enriching and enhancing the standing of tourism, provided they respect the natural heritage and local populations and are keeping with the carrying capacity of the sites. We have to really value carrying capacity of the sites right now kasi alam nyo, yung overpopulations of guests definitely affects the tourist or the destination itself. Because the more tourists could pull you more or could destroy more. These tourist destinations, di ba ang aim natin for tourism is to protect this kind of destination for the future. Pwedeng humanap ng mga ordinances sa isang lugar na kung saan sila pwedeng sila ang magpatupad ng mga strict regulation nila. About the carrying capacity of their tourism destination, yung tawag sa mga attraction nila. So yun yung nakita kong one of the most important articles in Article 3. Let's go to Article 4, states that tourism, a user of the cultural heritage of mankind contributor to its enhancement. Okay, we have 4 subsections. Okay, parang ang nakakuha sa akin ng attention for this subsection is the number 4. States that tourism activity should be planned in a way as to allow traditional cultural products, crafts, and folklore to survive and flourish rather than causing them to degenerate and become standardized. Ang problem natin dito is we have visited a lot of tourist destination na kilalang tawag dito. Hindi natin masyadong appreciate yung mga folklore, na their stories behind their yung mga culture. Probably they are just developing a plan for that particular program or destination. However, yung support for the cultural products, di ba, here in the Philippines, we have this so-called one product policy as much as possible. For example, we have so many kinds of mangoes, pero when we say the sweetest mango, the biggest mango or the sweetest mango is found in Zambales. So it's one product policy. So what we could do is to incorporate this kind of destination to our itinerary, and then try to appreciate this culture and traditions, lalo na yung tulad ng yung mangoes na kailangan nating appreciate yung mga products nilang ganun. Include those cultural products or mga factories, local factories, mga weaving factories naman nila, di ba, in a particular destination. Try to appreciate your local products nila. We are trying to help these local communities help improve their lives through tourism. So that's all for my report. Next reporter.
Next po. So, dito naman po sa Article 5, the tourism as a beneficial activity for host countries and communities. So, sinasabi dito sa article na to na if we'll manage ang ating tourism, it can be a powerful tool for sustainable development by benefiting both host countries or yung mga countries na accessible sa kanilang tourism and yung mga services about in terms of tourism. And communities by fostering economic growth or pagpapaunlad ng ating ekonomiya o ng ekonomiya ng bawat bansa, and cultural exchange or pag-give ng or pag-share ng knowledge about sa mga kanya-kanya ating kultura at paniniwala. At last two is the environmental conservation and social progress. So yung apat na to, ito yung mga possible na mag-benefit sa mga host countries and communities or local communities if well managed or naging responsible tayo sa pagmamanage natin ng ating tourism. So yun lang. Next, the Article 6. So, in tourism development, various stakeholders play crucial roles in ensuring its success and sustainability. So kasi sila yung yung nagpo-provide ng information about sa place for the tourist na kung saan, kung gaano ba ito kaganda, ano yung mga possible service na may experience and may enjoy ng mga turista dito. Kaya ito yung naging crucial role for them kasi because they are the one who thinks how they can convince the tourists to go to that place or how they will promote the place for the tourists. And by doing that, it can be a big help for the locals also and also to the place to sustain their economic growth, preserving cultural heritage, and protecting the environment. So simplihan ko lang yung mga explanation kasi madali lang naman siya talaga siya intindihan. So next po, the Article 7. So the Article 7, the right to tourism is very simple. Simple lang naman to. Pero hindi siya yung tulad ng mga natin, mga rights, mga law natin na na nakasaad sa batas natin. But itong isa na to, yung right to tourism, pinopromote niya kasi yung freedom ng mga turista o ng mga individual to go to other places para mag-enjoy ng maka-experience ng mga activities doon, what kind of services that they can offer, and also ma-experience yung kagandahan syempre ng destination na yun. Ganun naman siya kadali. About freedom lang siya. Promoting about freedom yung right to tourism. Ito yung freedom lang ng tao o ng mga individual to go to another place. So next po is the Article 8. Liberty of Tourist Movement. So here on Liberty of Tourist Movement, tulad lang din siya ng, parang tulad lang siya, same lang sila, may pagkapareho lang sila ng Article 7. Why? Because they're both promoting or there has same goal, which is to promote nga yung freedom ng mga individuals or ng tourists para pumunta sa iba't ibang bansa. Ganoon na siya kadali. Parang same lang sila, wala sila masyadong pagkakaiba. Pareho lang sila nagpo-promote ng freedom in terms of tourism. So next po, the Article 9. Next po. So here on rights of the workers and entrepreneurs in the tourism industry. So the Article 9, the rights of our workers and entrepreneurs are very important. Why? Because they are the one who helps for the growth of our economy. Ay yung isa sa mga malaking tulong nila. And to ensure that na yung pagtuloy-tuloy ng pagtulong nila or pag-angat ng ating ekonomiya, because of their help, ang pwede natin matulong sa kanila is we need to help them by providing more training to develop their skills and also to their knowledge para ma-improve pa nila yung mga kakayahan nila sa field na kanilang tinatakbuhan. So ganun lang po siya. And next, the Article 10, which is the implementation of global principles of global code of ethics for tourism. So dito naman po, it requires a multifaceted approach or in other term ng multiface, para siyang, dimension. Like, meron po sa harap, meron sa likod, meron sa kaliwa, and then meron din sa kanan. Para siyang sabay-sabay na approach, sobrang daming approach. And involves dito yung collaboration, education, policy development, and responsible business practices. So, ang niya lang talaga, main goal niya lang talaga is by practicing those tourists or also the local communities, kung paano nila mapapractice na masustain yung isang lugar na yon na kapag doon sila nagtayo ng mga businesses nila or ng mga para gumanda pa yung tourist destination na yun or tourist spot na yun, kailangan ma-practice nila yung pagiging responsible sa isang lugar. So by implementing this, we need the support or help of the stakeholders or ganito yung mga tourist businesses, local communities, yung nga sinabi ko sa inyo, yung mga local communities, travelers also, yung mga tourists, and governments. By help of those, we can create a more sustainable and ethical tourism na tourism industry na makakapag-benefit tayo both the present and also the future generation. Nagagamit din po ng tourist destination na yan. So, yun lang po. Next reporter po.
So let's proceed to the next content. There are numerous instances where employees, managers, and even business owners in the tourism industry face ethical dilemmas and challenging situations. So ano nga ba yon? Ito yung mga situations na madalas na nararanasan ng isang employees sa ka-workmate or mismo head ng office niya. Or di kaya naman ng mga clients, suppliers, and even competitors. Those situations na babanggitin namin ay inspired by real events. Next. So, the first one is the nepotism and favoritism. The first dilemma na na-experience sa kahit anong industry is this one, the nepotism and favoritism. Itong dalawang to ay unfair practices but madaming tao na natitempt na gawin especially sa relatives or friends nila. I-differentiate muna natin kung ano yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa. Yung nepotism is the unfair practice by a powerful person. For example, is yung pinaka-head nyo may pinasok na ka-relatives niya tapos sa kanya binibigay yung mga magagaan na gawain or di kaya kahit absent is complete pa rin yung sahod. Meanwhile, yung favoritism, ito yung tinatawag natin na bias doon sa isang employee. Para sa boss mo, siya yung magaling lahat ng positive vibes na sa kanya, kaya siya yung mas mataas yung sweldo. And yung negative side niya is nagkakaroon ng unfair competition, especially doon sa mga employee na binibigay talaga yung best nila. So next is the conflict of interest. Not everyone are aware na yung conflict is possibly exist. Yung conflict po, interest po, kumbaga pumapasok pa sa isang transaksyon or negosasyon na ang magbebenepisyo ay sarili mong interest. Sa madaling salita, para maging pantay sa bawat isa or transparency purposes, bawal gamitin yung isang position para makakuha ka ng personal gain ng family mo, kaya may pagkasim siya kay nepotism. Dahil nagkakaroon ng special treatment na may hinahard ka na friend mo na hindi naman qualified doon sa position na yon. Next. Next is the sexual harassment. So all of you are aware about sexual harassment. Nagsisimula yung sexual harassment through receiving end of green jokes or sex jokes that are offensive or di kaya by touching of bodies. So I have a question. Matatawag ba natin siyang sexual harassment kung yung mismong victim ay mukhang willing naman sa ginagawa sa kanya? So to answer that, even if the employee was willing, sexual harassment is still possible. Dahil some of the employees have become willing na maging victim ng sexual harassment because they are helpless and powerless, lalo na sa mga worker na napipressure or di kaya breadwinner na takot mawalan ng work or iniingatan yung position na meron sila. So, to clarify lang and to remind all of you that sexual harassment is not about gender, it is about power. Kung sino yung may kakayanan na magbiktima na kaya nilang idaan sa power, mapalalaki o mapababae man, ay pwedeng maging sexual predator. So next is the grapevine. Actually, this is a kind of nasty habit of some employees. So yung grapevine po is two or more people engage in gossip. So kapag narinig natin yung gossip, ang unang maisip si ka-workmate na best in chismis. So they are maybe talking about real people and real issues, but with a twisty by adding their opinions and views. Like for example, is si itong ka-workmate nyo buntis, tapos ang akala mo or ang sabi mo sa iba, ang ama daw is yung boss, which is hindi naman. Kumbaga, bago mo palang sabihin yung main topic nyo, may judgment mo na ganun. Kahit hindi ka pa employees, nararanasan na natin to, which is mapagchismisan ng kasama man natin or mga taong hindi natin kilala pero feeling kilalang kilala tayo. Napaka-unhealthy nga and napaka-toxic kasi nasisira yung reputation and yung relationship na meron ka dun sa taong kasama sa rumor. Di lang apektado yung physical, but yung mental health mo na rin. So next. Next is the slander. Ito naman yung pagkakalat mo ng hindi totoo about dun sa ka-workmate mo. For example, ito daw si nakakumit ng crime daw, tapos siya naman ay may malalang disease. Like, intentionally, gagawa ka ng paraan para masiraan ng yung ka-workmate mo. Next is the label. Well, si label is an act of publishing a false statement kung saan yung maraming tao magkakaroon ng bad opinion dun sa mismong tao. Pwede siya spread through mass media, modern communications, and literary outlets like poems, letters, and so on. Next. Next is si cyber libel naman, is sinisiraan mo yung ka-workmate mo through use of social media. Same lang siya kay libel po. The last is the grave threat. Si grave threat, ito yung magbibitaw ka ng salita. For example is, si Miss Rika Ford, nagtatrabaho siya sa isang airline bilang ground attendant. Tapos ito si Mr. Martin, isa siyang anak ng politician. Parang one day, nag-check-in siya, pero sobrang late. Then, yung available seats na yon is na ibigay na dun sa mga nasa waitlist. And yung flight is aalis na within 6 minutes. Pero ito si Mr. Martin, nagmamatigas siya and nakapagsalita siya ng masama. Like, threat. Words, for example, like, mamatay ka na, ganon. Mamamatay ka, ganon. So, that's for my part. And the next is si Miss Cyril.
The first one is acts of lasciviousness. These pertain to acts filled with showing sexual desire, rude, vulgar, and obscene behavior is manifested by a person to another. It is important to note that acts of lasciviousness is undesirable decorum that offends or makes another person uncomfortable, scared, or horrified. Dito is yung tinatawag na pagnanasa. So, di ba, usually sa workplace is hindi maiiwasan yung mga nagkakaroon ng mga nababastos, gano'n. Like, for example, din sa tourism and hospitality industry, di ba? Yung mga flight attendant is usually where nagwe-wear sila ng mga skirt. So, parang yun yung parang isa sa mga nagiging dahilan ng pagbabastos sa hospitality and tourism industry. Pero di ba, lagi nga natin sinasabi na hindi naman yun sa sinusuot ng isang babae, kundi talagang dahil lang talaga sa mindset ng lalaki. So, doon yun papasok sa act of lasciviousness. So, ang iba pang mga example dito is yung i-force mo silang manood ng mga nude photos at tignan yung mga nude photos, watching porn, and any flirtatious behavior. The next one is union busting. Union busting refers to activities undertaken by employers, their proxies, and governments to prevent workers to freely organizing in many ways. This is illegal and unethical as it is called union busting. So from the word itself, it is the meaning as binibreak mo yung union or pagkakaisa sa isang company. It is meron siyang range of activities na ginagawa para i-disrupt or i-weaken yung power ng trade of unions para hindi mag-grow yung isang membership o yung mga member in a workplace. So, syempre maraming hindi agree sa union busting since it's unnecessary with a strong tendency na masira yung employer-to-employee relationship. So, usually po, it is a strong feeling of dislike and hatred between each other, and it's not good kasi magiging against sila sa isa't isa. Like imbes na magtulungan sila sa isang company or in a workplace is magkakaroon pa ng mga inggitan or yung tinatawag na mga parang kanya-kanya, yung hindi sila, from the word itself nga, walang pagkakaisa sa isang company. Next. Mutiny. Mutiny is defined as forcible resistance of or revolt against constituted authority on the part of subordinates. In short, it is overthrowing a person in authority, and in the case of companies, a manager or senior officer. So yung mutiny meaning is himagsik or paghihigante. So lagi natin itatak sa utak natin, or kung meron man tayong mga ate, kuya na nagtatrabaho sa isang company, is parang hindi magiging dahilan yung paghihigante if nakagawa man ng mali sa'yo yung ka-workplace mo. Siyempre, hindi naman nun masosolve yung problema nyo. So, para kasing kapag gumawa ka ng, naghigante ka sa isang katrabaho mo, is pwede ka out of line kapag nag-isip ka ng mga bagay-bagay na pwedeng iganti sa kanya. Like, baka madamay pa yung name ng company nyo dahil lang dun sa pagiging selfish mo para lang makaganti ka. Next is disobedience. Employers of a company are expected to obey orders and directions of superior as well as abide by the company's policies, procedures, and standards. Disobeying could get one into trouble. Disobedience is defined as the refuse or neglect to obey a superior policy. So, syempre, importante naman talaga sa isang workplace na marunong tayong sumunod and ma-ensure natin yung proper performance. So, as long as the orders po ng mga superior is tama naman and regular, so the employee must obey. If hindi mag-obey, syempre, it can cause damage sa company and sa mga boss mo. So, syempre, parang masasabi ng mga tao na, ay ano ba yan, hindi siya proper trained kasi hindi marunong sumunod sa utos ng boss, hindi marunong sumunod sa policies and rules and regulation ng isang company. Next po, poaching clients and employee. It is the illegal practice of encroaching or trespassing on another person on organization property to hunt or stroll without the owner's permission. In the context of poaching clients, it essentially pertains to stealing another person or company's clients or employees. So that's why po it's very important po na i-ensure ng isang company yung loyalty po and satisfaction ng mga important stakeholders in the organization para po ma-prevent yung poaching ng clients and employee. The next one is bad-mouthing clients, competitors, and previous employers. This behavior springs from a feeling of dissatisfaction, disagreement, or non-conformity with the client or previous employer. Even if one's feelings are true and valid, it is best to keep the one to oneself unless an important decision has to be made. So, dito na po papasok yung mga inggitan, siraan, tsaka backstaban sa isang company or sa isang workplace. Like, parang dito rin papasok yung magkikriticize ka someone or something po. So, usually daw po, yung gumagawa nito is yung mga employee with a strong bias against a particular client or previous employer. Next po. Manipulation of colleagues. Manipulating colleagues in the organization, superiors, peers, and subordinate is usually triggered by conflict, personal insecurities, protectionist attitude, facades as defense mechanism, professional jealousy, and intense narcissism, and external pressures and commitments. So dito naman po is minamanipulate mo or minamanipulado mo, meaning is kinokontrol mo yung isang tao by her or his advantages. So, through manipulation po is maraming naapektuhan and it may result to fraud, corruption, and injustice. So, it's really important talaga na pinapractice sa isang workplace or sa isang company yung fairness at all times. The next one is organization provide a power base for individuals. From a purely economic standpoint, organization exists to create a surplus of income over cost by meeting needs in the marketplace. So from the word itself, dirty politics, meaning as yung mga maduming pamamalakad sa isang company or sa isang workplace. However, this potent relationship po among power, influence, and politic po is nagpo-prone siya into abuse into the corporate world. So commonly motivated to is from the greed or pagiging sakim, self-centeredness, pagiging makasarili, and extremely controlling personality. Next po. Passing the buck or blame game. Passing the buck is defined as blaming someone or making another person responsible for a problem that one had to deal with. This is a nasty behavior that creates conflict and scars professional relationship in an organization. This culture flourishes mainly due to the lack of responsibility and accountability by person in authority. So dito na papasok yung mga mahilig maghugas kamay, yung mga hindi kayang akuin yung mga kasalanang nagawa nila, yung parang ipapasa nila sa iba. Like kunwari sa isang companies or sa isang workplace, parang members kayo na in a group, tapos ikaw yung responsible gumawa ng part na to, tapos mali yung nagawa mo or something na nagkaroon ng error, so parang ipapasa mo sa iba mong members, yun yung tinatawag na passing the buck or blame game. Parang, ano ba explain? Parang ipapasa mo sa kanya yung kasalanan na hindi naman siya yung gumawa. So parang, ito is, ano nga ba ang dahilan ng bakit ginagawa yon ng isang tao? So, sinasabi based on my research, sinasabi is, you can take the accountability of your action. By that you can take harm and damage on the organization. So yon, passing the buck or blame game. Basta paghuhugas kamay or pinapasa mo sa ibang tao yung mga maling nagawa mo or yung mga kasalanan mo. Next is profanity and vulgarity. It is a socially offensive use of language that may also be called cursing, swearing, or expletives. Accordingly, profanity is deemed impolite, rude, or culturally offensive. So dito is parang yung tinatawag na ugaling kalye or parang hindi kayang dalhin yung sarili sa iba't ibang lugar, like parang pagiging unprofessional, that's the term. So parang ito yung, syempre kapag nasa hospitality and tourism industry ka or tourism student ka, is importante na alam mo paano dalhin yung sarili mo or alam mo kung ano yung sasabihin mo at yung hindi mo sasabihin. So syempre, di ba, feeling ko naman kahit hindi rin hospitality and tourism student, kapag ka well-mannered ka or parang marunong ka naman or nakapag-aral or kahit hindi nakapag-aral, is dapat alam mo kung paano mo dadalhin yung sarili mo or alam mo kung paano ilugar yung mga bagay na hindi mo dapat pinapakita sa workplace or sa mga professional na tao. So, that's on my part po. Thank you.
Next in line, please.
Disrespect and rudeness. Ito naman yung kabastusan or walang galang na pag-uugali na nagpapakita ng kawalan ng consideration or paggalang sa iba. So, yung mga ganitong behaviors is pwedeng maka-apekto sa works and mental health. For example, is may nag-uusap na dalawang matanda and then nakisabat ka, sign na yun ang pag-disrespect. O kaya may yung mga pagsagot-sagot mo sa boss or sa mga parents mo, yun, sign na rin yun ang pag-disrespect. The next one is mediocrity. Ito naman is yung performance ng isang tao or workers is mababa, so hindi siya tumataas. Next po. Complacency and lethargy naman. Ito naman yung parang wala kang pake sa paligid mo or hindi ka nagbibigay ng effort sa lahat, kaya it also defines as lack of concern and interest. So, sa alcoholism naman is, this is chronic disease na di mo kayang kontrolin ang pag-iinom or lagi kang sabik uminom. So, this one naman is, hindi mo mapipigilang, kumbaga parang lagi mo hanap-hanap yung lasa ng alak, kaya once na may nag-aaya sa yung uminom, kahit may work ka, kinabukasan, for the go ka pa rin kasi nakasanayan mo ng uminom ng alak. Next po. Drug use and drug trafficking. Ang drug use naman is ito yung pinagbabawal na gamot na madalas nagiging sanhi ng mga paggawa ng crime dahil sa paggamit nito, yung epekto nito is masama sa pag-iisip. So, nasusobrahan sa paggamit kaya naapektuhan na rin yung pag-iisip. So, dito kung ano-ano na rin yung pumapasok sa isip mo. So, dito naisip mo ng yung sa rape, dito pumapasok yung sa rape or yung sa mga yung sa crime nga, yung sa mga pagpatay-patay, ganon. Assault and physical injury. Ito naman yung pagbabanta sa isang tao at pananakit sa mga kapwa-tao na pwedeng maging reason ng crime na maaari din nilang gawin sa iba. Next po. Gambling. Ito naman is yung pagsusugal sa mga kasino na maaaring magkaroon ng hindi magandang result dahil sa mga bagay na importante sa'yo. And then, yung mga sa kagustuhan mong bumalik yung mga naitaya mo, yung mga importanteng bagay sa'yo, is nabebenta mo. Kaya para lang maibalik mo yung mga naitaya mo, kasi umaasa ka pa rin na pwede kang manalo doon. Tiredness. Usually, nararanasan din natin mapagod, lalo na kung madami tayong ginagawa sa life, or pwede rin na dahil sa stress, naalis naman yung pagod natin once nakapagpahinga na tayo ng sapat, at pag nakakompleto rin natin yung 8 hours na tulog. Next po. Absenteeism. Ito yung pagliban or pag-absent na madalas nangyayari sa school and work, na minsan tinatamaan tayo ng katamaran at gumagawa tayo ng mga reason na hindi naman reasonable. Malingering. Pagpapanggap na may sakit para makaiwas sa trabaho or sa ibang responsibilidad para makakuha din sila ng financial or tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung pagsahod nila. And that's all for my part.
Gross negligence or malaking kapabayan is considered as pagwawalang bahala or paglabag sa isang legal na tungkulin with respect to the right of others. Ito ay nagpo-cause ng matinding pinsala to the person and their properties. Coercion or pamimilit. Ang coercion ay ang paggamit ng dahas para hikayatin ng taong gawin ng isang bagay hindi naman gustong gawin ng ito. Next. Bullying. Ang bullying ay isang mali or pangit na behavior ng isang tao. Merong itong iba't ibang example like verbal, physical, or social behavior that intends to cause physical or social physiological harms. Pwede ring mangyari ang pambubuli ng personal or online. Blackmail or pagbabanta ng isang tao sa isang worker. Ang ibig sabihin ng pangingil pera or iba pang bagay na may halaga mula sa isang tao. Next. Moonlight is working an extra job and not telling your main employer. Sa maraming company ay pinagbabawal ang moonlight. Maraming empleyado ang madalas nag-moonlight para madagdagan ng kanilang kinikita. Unsanitary practice. Karamihan sa tourism establishment conscious about sanitation and dahil sa mga sanitary practice maaring mahawahan ng dumi ang tao humantok sa problema sa kalusugan. Next. Pure hygiene. Ang hygiene ay tumutukoy sa pag-aalaga ng tao sa kanyang katawan at kadalasan pinapakita ang kalinisan, fresh, at ang mabangong amoy ng katawan. Ang mga employees sa tourism establishment are usually strictly required na obserbahan ang kanilang proper hygiene sa trabaho. Next. Unprofessional grooming. Ang grooming ay tumutukoy kung paano pinapakita ng isang taong kanyang panlabas na anyo sa public. Unprofessional grooming employee does not speak well of the company they represented, particularly when interacting with clients. Sabotage is defined as distractions or pagsisira sa arian or paggamit ng employer or paghadlang sa manufacture ng mga discontented workers. Sila ay nagdudulot ng pinsala sa mga walang malay na empleyado. Arson. Ang arson ay sadya or na kriminal. Karaniwang itong ginagawa ng mga empleyado na may sama ng loob sa kumpanya or sa mga opisyal or may-ari nito. Sinasadyang pagsira sa properties o kumpanya sa specific manner or setting them on fire. Kaya importante na keep of working safe from fire hard. That's all my part. Thank you.
Sa vandalism naman, paninira ng mga pader o pag-spray sa mga pader. sa labas ng building, pang-public o mga ari-arian. Mga gumagawa na ito, mga empleyadong may sama ng loob, kaya nila ginagawa yun para mailabas ng sama ng loob nila sa trabaho. Sa non-compliance with company rules naman and policies, karamihan sa mga company ay may mga patakaran na nakasulat sa isang code o handbook. Ito yung ginagamit ng mga empleyado. Gumagamit nito yung mga trainee o empleyado na hindi sumusunod sa patakaran ng kumpanya. Next po. Math next. Okay. Environmental degradation. Ito yung pagsira ng mga kapaligiran dahil dito bumababa yung kalidad ng ating kapaligiran at pagsira ng ating mga tirahan. Ito ay magiging resulta ng mga polutant na sumisira sa hangin, tubig o supply na pagkain. Sa discrimination against military groups naman po, ito naman yung binibigyang kahulugan bilang ng mga maling pananaw, pagtrato ng isang tao o issue. Maaari rin itong paglikha ng pagkakaiba ng mga tuntunin ng mga mahuhusay. Next. Dishonesty ay ang katangian ng kawalan ng integridad o disposisyon ng malinlang sa ibang tao o organisasyon dahil maraming ito uri at anyo na hindi tapat. Perjury. Ito naman yung voluntaryong paglabag ng isang pangako o panunumpa sa kung ano ang hindi totoo o hindi pagtupad ng pangako sa ilalim ng panunumpa. Ito yung ginagawa kapag tumitistigo sa isang investigasyon. Next, Matt. Pilferage. Ito yung kasanayan sa pagnanakaw ng maliliit na artikulo sa isang kumpanya. 185 ang mga bagay na ninanakaw tulad ng mga supply o mga produkto. Sa marketing naman, bilang paggawa ng isang tao na magbayad ng mga pera bilang multa o buwis. 186 ang esensya ng marketing na ginawa sa ilalim ng pagpalit at halaga na hindi opisyal o regular. Kaya ang mga taong kinasuhan ay mga walang magawa at magpabiktima. Next. Math next. Bribery. Ito ay isang uri ng tiwaling pagtanggap o paglipat ng halaga bilang kapalit ng opisyal na aksyon. Nangyayari ito sa parehong pampubliko at pribadong sektor. Sa last naman, extortion. Tungkol naman ito sa krimen na pagkuha ng pera o ari-arian sa pamamagitan ng pagbenta ng mananakit laban sa biktima o sa ari-arian ng mga kamag-anak. That's all for my part. Next po.
So here naman po yung plagiarism. So familiar naman na lahat dito sa plagiarism. Ito lang yung pagkuha ng credit sa pinaka main owner talaga or original owner ng information. And for the forgery naman po, ito naman po yung panggagaya o pamemeke. Like nang nakalagay sa photo, gumagawa siya ng pegang pera or ginagaya niya yung totoong pera para manloko or mandeceive ng tao. Next po. For the falsification naman po, pinaka-big example dito is yung lugar po ng recto. Kasi ang lugar ng recto, kung familiar po kayo doon, sila po yung mga, may mga tao po doon or mayroon po doon mga businesses na illegal, yung sila yung gumagawa ng mga fake information or fake document about the person para mag-gain ng financial gain, employment, and to access to facilities. And for the fraud or computer fraud naman po, pinaka other term niya lang is panghahack po. Like gumagawa sila ng mga link or fake information or document na kapag pinindot mo, kung familiar po kayo sa phishing na tinatawag, na kapag pinindot nyo po yung link na yon, possible na makuha nilang information or personal information nyo, and then may mahack po sila sa inyo na mga important accounts nyo. Ganun po siya. Next pa. So here on pyramiding and Ponzi scheme, ang pinaka-other term nila or pinaka-madaling maunawaan ng tao is pang-scam o panloloko din po ng tao. Like, meron ditong kaya po siya pyramiding kasi para siyang, meron pong isang tao na nagpapalago ng grupo nila is para mas marami mag-invest sa kanya. And then, ang gagawin niya po, pag marami na po nag-invest sa kanya, ang una niya pong ginagawa doon para dumami po yun is, sa una, kikita yung mga taong nag-invest sa kanya hanggang sa maengganyo, matuwa, and then i-refer po yun sa ibang tao para sabihin na, uy, try mo rin to, di ba kailangan mo ng pera? Parang ganun po. Tapos bila mag-invest din, mostly ang nabibiktima dito is mga OFW, yung mga risk taker about financial problem, mga may financial problem po. Sila po ang mostly naloloko neto. Bali ang gagawin po niyan kapag malaki na po yung investment ng mga kasamahan po nila, bigla na po maglalaho ng parang bulayan yung nag-refer po sa kanila ng lahat. Or yung ng scam po na isang tao or grupo. Next po is the identity theft. Ito naman po is yung pagnanakaw or paggamit ng personal information ng isang tao without their permission. Like, gagamitin mo information niya to log in sa accounts or mga utang nang walang permission niya ng hanggang sa malalaman niya na lang meron siya mga utang or meron ng ginamit yung account niya na kung saan kabulastugan. Ganun lang po siya. Next po. Sa expense padding naman po, ito naman yung pagdadagdag ng actual payment or actual tax ng isang company or isang tao. Like, ang nakaka-experience nito is yung mga business owners na bigla-bigla tumataas yung tax nila without knowing na gano'n na pala kalaki yung kailangan nilang bayaran kasi yung business nila is lumalago, mas nagiging maganda. Kaya yung mga tao, nagiging aggressive sila para kumuha ng pera ng iba or parang mag-take advantage sa mga taong yan. Yung big example din po dito is yung nangyari sa akin personally, from Malabon to SM Dasma. Ang bayad po dapat dito is 30 pesos lang, but kapag nag-give ako ng 50 pesos, ang sinusukli po sa akin is 15 pesos. Balik, dinabawasan po nila ito ng 35 pesos na which is mali po yung ganun. Ito isa sa mga example niya. And then the non-liquidation of funds naman po, ito naman yung pag-preserve ng dapat na cash advance ng tao para magamit niya personal. Pero ang ginagawa dito is pre-preserve po itong pera na to. Imbis na gawin siyang pera ng mga tao or ipabigay siya sa mga employee, ginagawa po dito, ini-invest po ito para mas palakin or mas i-develop pa po or mas maging better pa po yung company nila or yung organization nila. Next po. And for the theft, simple lang to, pag nanakaw, pagkuha mo ng gamit ng iba without their permission or hindi nila alam, yun lang po siya kadala. And for the syndicated crimes naman po, lastly, ito naman yung mga krimen na kung saan grupo or organization siya. Hindi siya isang tao lang or kung ano man. Grupo siya or organization na kung saan gumagawa sila ng mga krimen by exporting or importing some drugs, illegal arms like mga baril, ganyan. Yan lang po. That's all for my part. Thank you.
Next is ethical practices in the workplace. So, number 1, complaints with company rules and regulation. Ito naman po sa bullet number 1 po. Ito yung mga times na kailangan natin mag-complain or sabihin natin magreklamo sa isang company rules. Kasi sometimes alam naman po natin yung tama at mali. So, ito po yung mga possibility na pero minsan dapat wag natin i-complain kasi yung dahil sa rule na yon na laganap nila yung peace and also cleanliness sa isang company or workplace. So, being honest at all times. Dito naman po sa being honest at all times. Para sabihin natin, kailangan natin maging honest talaga at all times when it comes sa isang work kasi pag once na nagsinungaling ka, may possibility na it will ruin your image as a member or isang member ng isang company. So, as long as na magsasuggest ka ng totoo, mas okay yun para walang aberya or may masirang image. Okay. So, next is communicating efficiently and diplomacy. So, communication is the key when it comes sa mga sa workplace kasi para magkaroon kayo ng connection at magkaroon kayo ng communication and also ng teamwork dahil sa efficient communication. So, next, upholding professionalism and high standard at work. So, dito naman po, kung kailangan po natin maging professional when it comes sa work natin kasi dun nakabase ang performance din natin pagdating sa ibang tao. Like for example, hindi ka maayos manamit tapos flight attendant ka. Paano ka naging flight attendant kung hindi ka hindi ka presentable? So we need to act professional and kailangan natin maging i-set natin yung sarili natin as a professional. Okay, so respecting colleagues at all levels. So dito naman po, kailangan natin respect yung bawat isa, baguhan man yan na employee or kahit na kung manager ka, dapat pare-pareho din yung turing natin sa isa't isa kasi pareho din naman tayo nanggaling sa mababang posisyon bago tayo umangat na isang posisyon. Okay, next is developing good professional relationship with colleagues. Ito naman po, dito natin tatandaan na kailangan nating makipag-communicate or kailangan nating makikonekta sa grupo natin or sa workmates natin para pag once may something kang kailangan, ganun, ma-approach mo sila na maayos. At the same time, goods kayo. Mayroon kayong good communication and proper relationship between your colleagues. So, next is taking responsibility. Ito naman po, as long as na alam mo yung isang job na pinapabigay sa inyo or sa isang team niya na binigay sa inyong task, kung alam mo, pwede ka naman mag-suggest, diba? So, kung yung part na yun, kailangan natin iti-take yung responsibility nun kasi alam naman natin na hindi tayo lahat capable sa mga sitwasyon na panandalian. Like for example, sabihin na natin pag-aayos ng makina, sabihin natin. Sino bang may tao bang biglang pagtingin lang ng makina alam na kaagad yung gagawin. So if someone needs help or when it comes sa ganung work na na medyo risky or napakahirap, pag once may idea tayo, bakit hindi natin pwedeng gawin? So yun yung possible na meaning ng take responsibility. So observing safety, security, and sanitation of the work. So, workplace. Ito naman po, kailangan nating sundin lahat ng rules and also security kasi magkakaroon ng effects to sa workplace natin. Like for example, sa isang restaurant. So, kung hindi natin papalaganap yung safety, paano may pupunta ba bang guest sa atin? Di ba wala na? So, ganun din po sa security. As long as na safe po, meron tayong mga CCTV cameras, security guards, and also mga staff na attend to po pagdating sa mga security or bouncer. So, then sa sanitation naman po, always dapat malinis po sa isang workplace. Pagdating po sa industry po natin na may mga tao kasi yung sa atin na sabihin na nating mayaman. So, kailangan maarte sila So, ganun. So, kailangan natin palaganap yung mga sanitation pagdating sa ganong aspect ng work. Kasi it will affect our workplace and also the name of the company. So, yun lang po. That's all for my topic.
So guys, that's for all. Thank you po and see you for the next discussion.